This is Cashflow Ninja, episode 235 with Jim Sheils.
Welcome to the Cashflow Ninja, the podcast sharing how to create income streams and manage, multiply, and protect your wealth in the new economy. Here is your host inside the dojo, MC Laubscher.
Hello, Cashflow Ninjas. MC Laubscher here, and welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Ninja. I have a great show for you today, and in today's show, we're going to look at a unique concept and strategy that's helping busy entrepreneurs and business owners succeed at home. My guest in this episode is Jim Sheils. Jim has been on the show before, sharing the amazing things that his real estate investment company, JAX Investments, is doing. Jim is a serial entrepreneur and is involved with many projects, but there's one project that is his passion and focus. He is on a clear mission in this lifetime: deepen relationships and improve education for entrepreneur families. His popular family board meeting strategy has helped parents worldwide reconnect with their children in a fun and experiential way. Jim's company, Board Meetings International LLC, hosts parent and child retreats and specialized events. Using the principles of experiential education, they teach the important lessons not taught in school and strengthen the relationship between successful entrepreneurs and their children. Please share your feedback and thoughts on today's interview. You can let me know your thoughts on Twitter by tweeting me at MC Laubscher or by email at info@cashflowninja.com. And please remember to join our mailing list by signing up at cashflowninja.com or texting Cashflow Ninja to 44222. To ensure you never miss one of our episodes, you can download our free interactive smartphone apps on the Apple and Google Play app stores. I've also created a Cashflow Ninja investment group where I share opportunities that I'm investing in with my fellow investors. If you're interested in joining this group, please email me at info@cashflowninja.com and we will continue the conversation to see if you're a good fit for our group. I've always thought that if there are only a handful of people that have built indestructible wealth in any economy and market, why are we following the advice and doing what the majority of people are doing that are struggling financially? My friend Dave Zook says, you can be conventional or you can be wealthy, but you need to pick one. At the Real Asset Investor, Dave and his company create value for investors looking for high yield returns from real estate ventures domestically and internationally. To learn more about the exciting investment opportunities the Real Asset Investor offers, such as the syndication opportunity at the Mahogany Bay Village in Belize, investment opportunities in the multifamily space in the United States, and ATM syndication opportunities, visit cashflowninja.com/real asset investor. Are you interested in real estate investing but don't know where to start? Joint Ops Properties is the premier provider of turnkey lease option investment properties. With their proven system, you can have cash flow within 30 days. To get cash flow within 30 days, go to jointopsproperties.com. The wealthiest investors on the planet know how to capture their wealth and leverage it to perpetually grow it. If you're interested in learning the premier strategies of the wealthiest individuals and families on the planet, you can access an educational webinar at cashflowninja.com/be the bank. Jim, welcome to the show.
Hey, MC, good to be back.
Can you please share a little bit about your background with some of our new listeners?
Sure. I've been an entrepreneur full-time, 17 years, a real estate investment company for 17 years. I've done over 1,000 houses, which that's not always a good thing because I'd say like 300 of them were mistakes. So if that tells you anything, in the learning process, you get better and better though. And I also started a company called Family Board Meetings about 5 years ago, where I started specializing in helping busy entrepreneurs make sure that they weren't only successful at work, but successful at home, keeping strong relationships with their spouse, with their children. And I do a lot of specialized workshop and retreats around that.
And that's one of the things that I'm so excited to talk to you about, Jim, because it's just so true. We are entrepreneurs and small business owners and investors and so forth. And the time is usually kind of crazy, especially in the beginning. But then even as our businesses grow and expand, it always seems to suck up that time. And then sometimes there's the relationships that suffer and the family that suffers. If you have a solid foundation at work and healthy, strong relationships with family, that's actually the thing that truly propels and excels any entrepreneur. So this book that I read it twice now already, The Family Board Meeting, was really, really insightful and shares a lot of good things. Can you share with my listeners exactly what is a family boardroom meeting?
Yeah. The board meeting strategy and, the family board meeting, the book, as you know, is a short, easy read. Honestly, MC, I didn't even want to write it. I got pushed by friends, and I'm glad I did because now I can see it would have been selfish not to. It's a strategy that's helped my family so much and now so many other families. But it's an easy read. And I talk about something called the board meeting strategy and some principles that define the difference between time together with your family and quality time with your family. And believe me, there is a huge, huge difference. And in the book, I just talk about a simple rhythm that has really connected me and grounded me with each of my children. I have 4 children, and I share some of the stories in the book. And as we're running up that entrepreneurial mountain, we can go so hard, so fast with the best intentions. We look around and sometimes our families are no longer there. Even worse, we're kind of a stranger to them. And what this rhythm does, it keeps you grounded throughout the year in an easy to follow, easy to maintain, fun way with your children. And you can use it with your spouse. And the results have been phenomenal. Not only for my own family, like I said, but so many others. Again, I didn't even want to write this book, but I did. I put it out, and it really got an underground following. I barely marketed it, and I've been invited to some of the biggest events, not only for real estate, but entrepreneurship and personal development around the world to talk on it. And I'm proud of that because it really represents me as an entrepreneur and all the rest of us as entrepreneurs where, I was tired of seeing so many people successful on their balance sheet, but failing at home. And I think that this one simple board meeting strategy is a starting point to make sure that doesn't happen.
Now, you've mentioned time together versus quality time in the book. Can you elaborate on that?
Time and quality time. The more I started to work with entrepreneur families over the last 5 years, and I interviewed scores of them when I first was playing with this idea of starting this about 6-7 years ago, I found that people spend time with their children that's in passing. They're on their phone, they're texting, their child's texting or playing a game. They're at the busy table in the morning where the dog is barking, someone's spilling something, someone's on their phone or discussing who to pick up, how to pick up, driving in the car with a bunch of friends and the kids are talking in the back with their friends. And these are all good moments, but they're not true quality time. This is passing time. True quality time takes away distraction, puts the magnifying glass on the relationships we truly care about in a good way, and it gets us below the surface. I mean, none of us, MC, want to talk to the people we're closest with about the weather for the next 50 years. It's like, shoot me now. If that's what we're going to be sticking on, we want to get below the surface. Even the tough guys out there, when I've got them behind doors talking about their family, they don't want to be a stranger. They don't want to live on the surface. They don't want to be the last person that their child would come to for help or advice or support. And true quality time, when you facilitate it right, and there's a way to set it up, which I talk in the book, absolutely can put you below the surface. It can make you be the one who your kids come to for advice instead of their friends or the internet. And that is the difference. Passing time is passing time. Quality time truly strengthens the relationship, puts the magnifying glass on it in a positive way, and brings you deeper, more meaningful results.
We all yearn to have relationships with other people and friendships and, a special bond between the parents and the children. So it's it is kind of crazy to see busy schedules really, truly get into the way of that. And you do start to just, instead of spending, as you mentioned, quality time, just basically spend time together with people.
Yes. Well, and a lot of the times, which none of us want to admit, in our well-intentions to build a business, or I know you work with a lot of real estate investors like myself, build our real estate empire, we can overcommit and give over priority to our biggest clients, our key investors, our key team members, and our family will kind of fit in around the sides of it. And what I did to try to save me from myself years ago is I made a promise that, look, I'm wired like an entrepreneur. I might as well go with it. So I now said that I would always treat my wife and my children with the same level of priority and respect that I do my top investors, key clients, and key team members. And some people might say, well, that's very impersonal. I don't think so, because they are my most important clients by far. They are my most important investors by far. So I would never, with the people, let's say you have someone who funds up your business $2 million a year. Are you going to try to squeeze them in around the sides? Or are you going to give them priority and make sure that you're having regular follow-up with them? Because again, wealth comes in many forms. And for me, with my family, that is my key investment. So I've made a promise with a group of entrepreneur surfers, because I'm a surfer years ago, that we would treat our children with that same respect. And that one little shift in mindset has really helped keep things in priority. Not perfectly, but I've definitely am pretty proud of the grounding and the priority I've kept with my family.
For entrepreneurs and business owners that have lost that connection or trying to reestablish a connection, what are some of the steps that you can advise them on of how to connect?
Okay, well, first off, the main thing, MC, is stop beating yourself up. I've heard too many people. My son is 12 years old, and I haven't been around the last 5 years because I was building the business. I feel like a stranger. He's kind of mad at me. I've lost my window. You haven't lost your window. Stop beating yourself up. I'm not saying to excuse that you weren't there, but look, make it up to you did the best you could. You have the time now. Look from today forward. That's the best way you have to do, and realize that you are starting a little behind the eight ball, and you're going to have to start small. But it is never too late. I've had people say to me, oh, my kids are 23 to 30. It's too late. Not too late. Definitely not too late. If you still got air in your lungs, it's never too late. That's such a cop-out, such an excuse. So don't use that excuse, and don't continue to beat yourself up. Look, as parents, we've all made mistakes. I remember there's a joke from, I'm trying to remember who it was, saying, look, we're all going to screw up our kids in some way. But what you have to realize is you did the best with what you had. And if you didn't do the best with what you had, it's not going to do any good for your children moving forward to continue to beat yourself up and try to start small and move forward. So that is my recommendation. Start small. Again, when you set rhythms, and rhythms are basically just priority habits in your life. And I don't even like the word habits because rhythm has more of a musical soul to it. But if you set these rhythms in your life that you stick to, that's the starting point. So start to set 1 or 2 rhythms in your life, in your home life, that can start to reawaken the fire, to fan the flame, if you will. And not 10, not 20. Maybe start with this board meeting strategy, or take some of the principles out of it and try to formulate one solid family rhythm that you slowly start to crank the wheel in the right direction.
Jim, what are some of the principles of board meeting success?
Rhythms have been proven to not take away freedom in our life. They've been proven to expand them. And children and growing teens, whether they want to admit it or not, they flourish when they have some consistencies. And when they have set rhythms that they can depend on, know that they're going to have scheduled quality time with you, it absolutely can ground the relationship and grounds the confidence and security of a young person. So just using the principle of rhythms is a huge thing. The second thing with our board meeting strategy is the power of 90 days. Once a quarter, and I guess I should tell them, MC, really the good thing about this book is I had to keep it simple because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm ADD. If it wasn't simple, if it was too long-winded, too tricky, too clever, it would fizzle and die after 1 or 2 uses. I've been using this for 6+ years. I have clients who have been using it for 5+ years, and they just want to keep doing it more and more because it's easy to stay consistent with, easy to see results, it's fun, and you continue to see the growth. And the kids absolutely love it and vibe for it in almost all cases. Not all cases, but in the absolute majority. So a board meeting strategy just works like this. I made a promise that once a quarter, I have a board meeting with each one of my children. Each one of them is one of my most important clients, key team members. And a board meeting for most businesses is simply a meeting where you're going to get together and you're going to reflect on the last 90 days, reunite the team, and look ahead to the next 90 days. It's exactly what I do with my children, but I do it in a fun, experiential way. Once a quarter, I am with my children uninterrupted for at least 4 hours. And there's only 3 guiding principles, as you know, MC, because you've read the book twice. See, that shows you how short the book is, right, MC? If that thing was a long book, you wouldn't have read it twice. So it's such an easy read. So I really do pride myself on that because I know how busy people are. But again, there's only 3 guiding principles. The first is one-on-one. One-on-one time is absolute magic, and it is so potent for the relationship if you will use it. So that's one is one-on-one. Second is without electronics. And third is a fun activity of their choice with focused reflection. Now that sounds big and scary, like you have to be a psychologist. You don't. That's the shortest definition, a fun activity of their choice with focused reflection. That is the shortest definition of experiential education. And experiential education is by far the most powerful form of learning on the planet. It's used in some of the best circumstances, but it's a little harder to put together. You're just using it here now to be able to get along with your children better and deepen relationship. And I can go deeper into that, but again, you can put that on the back of the napkin. Aim to have a board meeting, quote unquote, once a quarter with your kids for 4 hours uninterrupted. Make sure it's one-on-one, no electronics, and do a fun activity of their choice with some time for focused reflection. And I'll explain focused reflection in this interview. And you see the pillars that creates in your relationships. You see how it takes you from the surface to below the surface. You'll see how you start to get answered those questions firsthand of what are my children really interested in? What do they really think of me? You're going to get the answers on these board meetings.
You're listening to Jim Sheils on the Cashflow Ninja podcast. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. This is MC Laubscher, the host of the Cashflow Ninja podcast. As you may know, I'm also the president and chief wealth strategist of Valhalla Wealth Financial. We help individuals, families, small businesses, entrepreneurs, and professionals build their wealth outside of Wall Street and help investors maximize the use of every dollar in their personal economy and boost their investment gains. We do this by combining the capital and investments with the financial vehicle of the wealthy according to the infinite banking concept. If you're interested to learn more about privatized banking and the infinite banking concept, you can access an exclusive webinar at cashflowninja.com/be the bank. You're listening to Jim Sheils on the Cashflow Ninja podcast, and now back to our interview. And let's dive into the focused reflection. If you can elaborate a little bit on that and just explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, the focused reflection is, again, experiential education. What it is a fun activity usually with focused reflections. And all that means is you do an activity, and then at the end you spend time talking about it. Because what I've found is something called decompression, which is a principle I talk about in the book. You know, when we're all trying to connect at the busy kitchen table or in a crowded family room where you want your teen to open up to them about puberty in front of their little brother. Yeah, right. Good luck. You have to, again, set that stage. And focused reflections, when you set up this board meeting strategy, allows decompression because you're giving an activity of their choice. You're spending this time together. You've been separated from your phones, and now everyone's a little more relaxed to open up. Now, when you open up, a focused reflection basically is just talking about the day's activity. That's the opening. And basically, there's one question that starts all experiential education. What was your favorite part of the activity and why? So what was your favorite part of the day today and why? See where they go with that. You might have a 2-minute conversation the first time, and that's okay, because just you being there and committing that time speaks 1,000 words. But what I've found is the focused reflection gives kids the chance to open up, gives you the chance to be vulnerable, gives you the chance to have some open communication. And that's what it's all about. Having fun together, seeing their interests and passions live, you enjoying them with them, and then discussing them at the end, and you're at a point of decompression, of openness, where you'll be surprised the level of conversation that happens.
And the level of trust that you're starting to establish between both people involved in this experience.
Exactly. Trust is just, that is the strength of all relationships. And you can try to lecture your way to trust. Action speaks louder than words. We all know that. Experience trumps lecture. You are plugging into experiential education and putting some principles into practice that combined are a powerhouse for deepening relationships. And again, I was a little skeptical, MC, to see the results that I had with my sons, and now the rest of my daughter. My youngest son is only 8 months, so we're not doing them yet with him. But I was a little skeptical to say, well, maybe this works for me. But now with 5+ years of testing, the amount of families that have had breakthroughs and powerful points of connection and powerful moments of clarity that they didn't understand about their child before that have happened on these board meetings is stunning. I'm still a little shocked, and I'm still a little skeptical, going, how could something this simple, a simple rhythm like this work? But again, as I've backed into it, we are putting some powerful principles and some science behind us to get the best results.
Jim, can you share some of the success stories? Because some of these stories are quite remarkable and amazing.
Sure. Well, I obviously, the inspiration came first and foremost from my own story, which I talk about in the book. And I remember you reaching out in a nice email, MC. When I have 4 children, 2 biological and 2 adoptive. I never separate like that unless in an interview for context, because it makes no difference to me. Once you go all in with loving a child, you go all in. And there's no difference to me between adoptive or biological. But when I met my wife years ago, we fell in love instantly. And I had the chance, when I won her heart, to win the heart of 2 beautiful little boys. She was divorced for quite a few years and had full custody of both her sons. And they were 7 and 5 when I came into their lives. And we hit it off famously right away. But both the boys had trust issues, and for good reason. And, things that happened before me and outside of my control, my wife's control, and she got out of a bad situation. But it had been especially hard on my oldest son, Alden. And when I came into his life, when he was 7, he was a terrible student, close to failing. He had been put on the quote-unquote spectrum. I hate that word. The spectrum at school for autism. And he suffered every night from night terrors. And if you don't know what night terrors are, you're very lucky. It's a terrible situation where your child wakes up in a half-conscious state, screaming, terrified, and it can take hours to get them back to sleep. Call me naive, but I knew that these situations and issues could change. I knew the power of quality time. I had worked with enough entrepreneur families at this point as the fun uncle, and that was my chance as the father. And I put the principles in the family board meeting to work. And we saw a shift within that first year. And again, it's funny you brought up that word trust, MC, because just rebuilding trust and the power of trust and safety for a young boy to a grown man is just a primal need, I think. And within 1 year, my son went from failing to becoming the most improved student of the 3rd grade, and he got an award for it at the end of the year. He was absolutely beaming. They retracted the diagnosis of autism. They admitted it was a mistake. And I knew it wasn't autism. Stress does some odd things. And that was taken away. And probably most rewarding for me was within 1 year, the night terrors were gone. And I would have given my entire real estate portfolio for those results, but I didn't have to. And I don't think anyone else has to. I just plugged into certain principles of quality time and made the effort, and those results happened. I've had so many stories of that MC that it's tough to pick not only my own, but there's been a lot of divorced fathers who are only getting part of the time with their children, their sons or daughters. And they said they felt like they were losing them. And this basically was like the Wonder Woman golden lasso that just pulled them in close to them in a positive way. And their relationship has flourished ever since. This was the pillars for that. Lots of parents that have opened up about the dangers of addiction and drug abuse, or teens that would never talk to them about it, which I think probably saved some lives. There's just so many stories about reconnection, MC. It's tough for me to pick a favorite, really, but there's definitely a theme of an overworked entrepreneur. Actually, there is one where now a friend of mine, the client, had been a very wealthy man, but his marketing company went under, was going through a bad divorce, had 2 daughters, started using these, and these were young ladies now. They were near adult age. And after a year, he came back to me and said, my daughters let me know that it was never the big business they ever wanted. It was just me. And that made all the difference for me to survive my divorce, to rebuild my business, and to do it in a way that my family would always have a priority. So that's just a few of them, MC. But it is again, it's humbling to see what can happen when we simply give priority and harness the power of quality time.
Extremely powerful. Jim, can you share more about the experiences that you provide at Board Meetings International?
Yeah, I mean, I do some speaking for different entrepreneur groups and specialized workshops, anything from a half day to 3-day retreats. So some people are looking to get a jump start on how to deepen the connection with their family or how to fill in the gaps that traditional education aren't doing. So I do a blend of not only anything from hour talks to half-day workshops to 3-day retreats that are designed really just to deepen the relationship between entrepreneurs and their family and to help kind of fill in the gaps of the important lessons that aren't taught in school. But we want to do it in a very fun and experiential way, which is kind of our forte. And it seems to resonate really well with not only the adults, but the young crowd as well.
Yeah, and I love the part of the experiential learning and education of it too. I think you shared another story about your other son too, of just facing his fears in the book, and in the way that he did it and the confidence that came from that. I mean, that's things that you're not going to learn or that have that experience when you're sitting just in a school.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what I've learned again, and this isn't just to it's not me who's just using this, but lots of people. Experience trumps lecture, especially with young people. I think with all of us, but experience trumps lecture. So if you can get more into experience learning and teaching opposed to lectures, I think you're going to have much better results.
Another question that I had for you too, Jim, is how to approach the subject of money and then wealth with your children. What are some of the ways that you would advise folks to do that, and what are some of the ways that you found helpful and successful doing that?
Yeah, money is a big thing. Obviously, unfortunately, financial intelligence is such an important intelligence to have for the practical affairs of life. And it is absolutely a tool that can help our kids live the life they want to live, pursue their passions and gifts if they have that. So I think it's nearly criminal not to help our kids get a basic foundation in that. I can tell you, I went through about 12 years, the first 12 years of school, and got 0, and then almost even less in college. That actually helped with my money management and financial intelligence. What I like to do is start with games. I play different financial games with my kids. And then I explain and bring them out to work with me once in a while on my real estate stuff. And then I like to, once they get to the age of 12, start to do what it's called a deep dive, slow digest with my kids, where I read about 10 to 12 pages a week and discuss it. So we only read about one book every 90 days, but we're really going to go deep into it. We're really going to discuss it. So my 2 sons now have both read Richest Man in Babylon with me. We didn't just read it and say, here, write up a 1-page summary. I mean, that stinks. I'm sorry for anyone out there that does that. That just does not get the lesson instilled to stick and to really understand it. What I do is 10 to 12 pages a week. Might only be a chapter. And then once a week, we really discuss it, talk about how could we apply that, try to put it into real situations in our life. And then usually at the end, they give me a feedback, little PowerPoint talk of what the book meant to them, some ways they could use it in their life. That's been a really powerful thing for me, where it doesn't matter how many books you read. I've seen that one book can outperform any 10 or 20 books if you do a deep dive, slow digest with your kids. It gives them camaraderie, gives them support. It shows that you're in it with them. So that's something I really enjoy to do. Richest Man in Babylon, fantastic book to do a deep dive, slow digest on. Besides Richest Man in Babylon, Rich Dad, Poor Dad was a good one to do a deep dive, slow digest. There's something called the Tao of Warren Buffett, which is almost like a don't sweat the small stuff, which is super easy to read, that I really enjoyed. So those are just a few of them. MC. But games and doing a deep dive, slow digest on, again, start with one book. Don't want to give them 15 and tell them to write a report. That's nonsense. Go with what's going to work, that's going to be sticking long-term. That's what I best suggest.
Jim, where can my listeners learn more about you and connect with you and learn more about all of the companies and projects that you're involved with?
Yeah, if you're looking to get involved with us and I can take you to a helpful level with your family or have an entrepreneur group that you want me to come speak with, I do some of that. You can go to jimsheils.com or familyboardmeetings.com. Also, I know you have a big real estate base, and we do quite a bit of real estate investments here in Northeast Florida, where it's been home to us for a very long time. You can look me up at jaxinvestments.com.
Fantastic. Well, Jim, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your journey and providing so much value for my listeners around this topic that's so important. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me back, MC. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining my guest, Jim Sheils, and myself on the Cashflow Ninja today. If you like what you hear and appreciate what we're trying to build here at the Cashflow Ninja, please subscribe, rate, and review our show on iTunes and share our show with family, friends, and your network. I'm always trying to learn and improve in every area of my life. So if there's any way that I can provide more value for you and serve you better, please reach out to me at info@cashflowninja.com. If you're not a subscriber to the Cashflow Ninja Gosh Good newsletter, you can sign up for our newsletter at cashflowninja.com or text Cashflow Ninja to 44222. Smart investors know that the banks actually don't own most automatic teller machines. In fact, the opportunity for private investment provides stellar passive returns, figures in the double digits, with an added bonus that most of the income is tax-free. Who wants to walk blindly past an ATM and not cash in on that opportunity? ATM machine ownership brings you a steady stream of hands-off passive income. Dave Zook and the Real Asset Investor team have been providing opportunities for investors in this uptrending activity of ATM use. If you are an accredited investor and would like more information on how you can invest in this exclusive asset class that very few investors will ever have access to, you can sign up for your free webinar on how to create income streams from ATMs at cashflowninja.com/real asset investor. Jimmy Freeland and Bob Scott have been in your shoes and have used real estate investing to create passive income and become financially free. In just over 3 years, they've created a lease option empire with over 170 properties. They can show you how to do the same. To get cash flow within 30 days, go to joinupsproperties.com. You can also check them out on YouTube. Just search Join Ups Properties or call Jimmy and Bob at 314-799-2247. The wealthiest investors on the planet know how to capture their wealth and leverage it to perpetually grow it. If you're interested in learning the premier strategies of the wealthiest individuals and families on the planet, you can access an educational webinar at cashflowninja.com/be the bank. That's our show for today, everyone. Until next time, live a life of passion and purpose on your terms. This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. The information being presented and considered does not consider your particular financial objectives or situation, and it does not make personalized recommendations. This material is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax and legal advisor or other qualified professionals, and you should not use the information in place of a customized consultation with a licensed professional regarding your specific personal financial objectives, situation, and needs. We believe the information provided is reliable, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, timeliness, or completeness.